Hi there. I hope everyone's had a lovely summer. I've just got back from Greece, so that was a really nice boost of energy to be at the seaside, catching the tail end of summer. So, happy full moon, but I really felt compelled to talk after a long time off of social media. Uh, and I think the reason is that I'm feeling very strongly called to discuss the situation that's happening in Iran. I can't really watch any of the coverage of that without crying. And I think it's a mixture of anger and grief, but it comes from a very deep place inside me. It's as if it's my primal feminine that feels like it's been suppressed for so long, and there's so much anger and so much grief coming up around that I've been absolutely overwhelmed with emotion. And it's led me to try and speak about it, to process it. So it doesn't surprise me that this kind of revolution is happening now, as we're moving into hopefully eventually a higher vibrational situation on the planet. Obviously, all of the darkness needs to be brought to light, and I think that we can see more and more. I think the light is growing stronger, and with that comes a purging of the darkness. Also, it's been prophesied that now is the next 6,000 years in the Toltec tradition of the age of the divine feminine. So we've had 6,000 years of the masculine, which unfortunately wasn't the divine masculine incarnated. It was a toxic patriarchy. And that needs to fall. It needs to go. So what we're seeing now is absolute incredible bravery by these women who stand to be killed and to lose everything. And they're standing firm in this female revolution for human rights, for female rights. And they're not going to take it anymore. I actually saw a very interesting post where the I can't remember the name of the group, but it's these women, the revolution, actually took over the airwaves and interrupted a speech by the leader of the Islamic State, and they managed to hack into the airwaves, and I think that the Islamic State is feeling on very shaky ground because they just can't squash this revolution. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens. But, may there be victory, whatever that looks like, over this really, really toxic patriarchal. It's almost like a caricature of the patriarchy. It's almost like a caricature of everything that is wrong with the old system and how it's tried for centuries and succeeded in squashing the divine feminine principle. It's almost like the principle of Kali, the goddess of destruction in Hindu mythology. The goddess in Hindu mythology is represented in so many different forms, and Kali is the goddess that is going to come and cut away anything that needs to be destroyed. And that's what it feels like, an uprising of the feminine goddess as Kali, where she is going to cut this toxic patriarchy down. And it also brings us to look at, in Western society, it might feel very far away. We're not forced into morality policing or anything like that. In fact, we've maybe gone a little bit too far the other way. And it's just interesting to look at how the divine feminine in Western society is also squashed, but in a very, very different way. I mean, when you look at pornography and how it is really toxic, pornography, in my opinion, is subtle violence against women. Most of these, pornographic films are focused on male pleasure, male dominance, and unfortunately, male aggression and violence within the sexual sort of arena, which has become more and more popular. So, I think we have to look at people and how even women buy into this real toxic masculinity, kind of sordid sexual movement, or what should we call it, like a modern day kind of embodiment of toxic masculinity, where, you know, women are sexual object for men's sexual pleasure. And unfortunately, I don't know if, you know, they totally forgot about the feminist movement and what all the women, you know, fought against, and the women to get the vote. And I really feel that women that are buying into this, you know, toxic sexuality, they creating all sorts of Instagrams in order to be, you know, sexually pleasing to men. And I just feel like I'm not prudish. It's not that. It's just that when you look at the intention behind it, it's perpetrating toxic masculinity. And what we need to bring back is divine femininity and divine masculinity. And that includes in the sacred sexual arena, where, you know, we should be worshipping and embodying the divine within sexuality. The woman as a goddess, women need to take back their power as a goddess. I mean, even in a more subtle way, you know, you look at, and this has been happening for a long time, but you look at, you know, these men and a lot of narcissists or else like really toxic situations where men are using women, sleeping around. And unfortunately, I think it definitely leans towards men doing that, although some women also engage in that kind of promiscuity where, you know, you're using people as a sexual object without really encompassing who that person is as a person, you know, and that needs to change. It needs to be respectful. And I mean, I've had experiences like that, feeling like I've been used for sex. So many girls have experiences like that, you know, being used and discarded, and, you know, it's toxic. And there are many girls that accept it and think it's fine to be used for sex and used for a shag and friends with benefits. And again, it's toxic. It's just reinforcing that toxic masculinity, and it has to change. And, you know, looking at these women rising up as this amazing goddess energy where, you know, they're embodying Kali the Destroyer. They've had enough. They're cutting off their hair. They are completely rebelling against this dictatorship. But, you know, we ourselves in Western society should also start embodying the goddess. Embody Kali, you know, embody the goddess that's rising, and now she's pissed off. And, you know, it's not to say that we need to go around being aggressive or whatever, but it's about creating boundaries and also saying no and standing up to men that have mistreated you. It's about really embodying the divine feminine and hopefully encouraging men to embody the divine masculine. So, you know, we need to find a balance here. And I just love this quote. I actually read it again. I've read it a few times in the past, but I read it again today. And it says that something like, woman's purpose on the earth is to help the masculine to unite with the divine, unite with the source. And the masculine purpose to be on the earth is to protect woman so she may walk the earth unharmed. And I think that's just so beautiful. And I think, you know, we really hopefully eventually going to move in that direction. It's difficult not to feel sad and a bit depressed about the way things are now, but, you know, let's see, maybe it's the start, maybe it's the purging, maybe we like at the bottom and now we can start to rise. But I really stand with those brave women in Iran, and my heart goes out to that situation. So sending lots of love, lots of light. Stay in the love, stay in the light. Namaste. Thank you.